Real, raw, and uncut. I'm TyTeaV Nelson, and this is TyTeaV. All right, y'all, welcome back to my show. To any new viewers, I just want to say hi, I'm Ty, and welcome. I hope you enjoy my show, and to just everybody that's watching, I hope so far it's just been an impact and just very, just beneficial for your lives, okay? All right, so I guess starters, I just want to say Merry Christmas. Y'all know I am big on the holidays, and I hope everybody is surrounded by loved ones, friends and family, positive vibes, and a whole lot of great food to eat. And make sure something that they told me in church when I was just there on Sunday is before you unwrap gifts, y'all, I want y'all to talk about, the birth of Jesus Christ, and what the story is really about, and how it's not just about, just gifts, so y'all try to do that, and I'm gonna try to force my family to do it too, since I will be hosting again. I'll be cooking Christmas dinner and everything, so yeah, I'll make everybody do it. I guess for starters, I'm drinking out of my touchdown cup. Is football season still going on? Or no? Question of the day. I used to work at Hooters. I should know that, right? I don't. Anywho, all right, so y'all know I'm doing this series on anxiety, okay? So for the next, maybe 2 more weeks, it'll probably be 4 weeks in total. So we got 2 more weeks where basically I'll pick a different type of anxiety, one that I've had experience with, and basically just talk to y'all about it. Give y'all helpful tips on how to cope, how to maintain, how to overcome with that anxiety as well, okay? So the topic for today is social anxiety, okay? And it's just so funny because right after I posted my video on performance anxiety, I was on Facebook and I was just strolling, and I was just scrolling, and I saw an article about Andre 3000, one of the world's greatest, performers, just came out about his struggle with social anxiety, and how he's just working on regaining his confidence and stuff, I found out a few months ago about Summer Walker. She experiences social anxiety. Just yesterday, I'm scrolling on Facebook, and Taraji Henson just, spoke out about her battle with anxiety and depression. So it just made me feel good, made me feel like it's a sign, that I'm just talking about things that so many people are battling with and just not talking about it, So I just hope it's helpful. I just hope somebody's life is just blessed, from what I'm talking about, the different topics that I'm talking about, okay? All right, so social anxiety, right? So basically, social anxiety is another form of anxiety where basically a person has created a fear has been created. There's a fear of social interactions, and you have this fear of social interaction because you had some kind of traumatic experience where you were humiliated, where you were criticized, where you were judged and embarrassed and scrutinized. So now, because that happens to you now, every time you experience social interactions, you have this fear, a fear of basically it happening again, right? Or you could, be fearful that you'll do something to offend someone, or just fear that it's gonna all just fumble and crumble or whatever, the whole social interaction. A lot of social anxiety stems from childhood experiences where a kid was physically, emotionally, or sexually abused as well. So sometimes a lot of it stems from childhood, although you can start experiencing it, at different times in your life or whatever. Everybody has a different story. For me, I feel like I experience kind of mild social anxiety. I wouldn't say that it's on 100. But the thing with, I guess, any form of anxiety, or at least I know from my part, it doesn't happen all the time for me. Some people, it does happen all the time, but for me, it doesn't happen all the time. I can have some times where I don't feel, very anxious, but then I can have another day where I walk into an audition or something like that and my anxiety is on 100. Then I can have some times where I'm not feeling any anxiety at all, so mine just kind of like varies or whatever. And it is considered like a chronic mental health condition. And like I said, for some people, it's just like different levels of it, Some people, it affects their everyday lives where they are avoiding social interactions because of that fear. Something traumatizing happened that affected them mentally. And they just don't ever want to feel, I guess, the way they felt ever again. So they kind of just like avoid it or whatever. So I want to say that I don't remember ever really experiencing social anxiety as a child, but social anxiety does correlate with bullying. That is one of the side effects. I was embarrassed and humiliated by people a lot, judged and criticized and scrutinized by people a lot as a child. I do come from like a very highly controlled household as well. So that is also a side effect, which can cause like social anxiety within a child, just being in that highly controlled environment. Then it was in my adult life though, when I actually started, figuring it out and noticing that I was experiencing social anxiety. I want to say that that I started feeling like social anxiety. I guess it correlates with performance anxiety a little bit too. You have like a performance part of it where it could be just, speaking in front of a class or a large group of people or even a small group of people, speaking up. That is like a form of social anxiety as well. But I feel like when I really started experiencing it had to have been when I started serving and bartending, okay? And really, it wasn't really when I first started serving and bartending. It gradually happened over time. I remember the first sign that I got with social anxiety was when I was serving a table. I was working at Hooters, I was serving a table, and I was stuttering. And I don't stutter. I'm a communications major. And I believe that I was maybe like in my junior or senior year. I want to say I was in my senior year when I started experiencing me sometimes stuttering. And for me, that was traumatizing because that's my dream, That's what I'm going to school for. This is my dream of, doing stuff in the TV industry, and so that like messed with me a whole lot, like impacted me a whole lot. When I was serving and working at Hooters as well, I noticed that when I was more so when I felt like overwhelmed, mostly like when I was bartending, when I felt like overwhelmed, I would experience something as far as like crowds and just people standing around me. My anxiety would build, or just people just staring at you. Summer Walker, she's, if I'm not mistaken, an R&B singer. I told y'all, she came out about experiencing like social anxiety. Of course, she's around huge crowds all the time, and I know that bothers her. People staring at her or just being around crowds and stuff. And from what I do understand, she experiences like a high level of it, you know what I mean? And I could only imagine, being a star to that capacity, you know what I mean? But I feel like I more so felt it when I was behind the bar and I was like overwhelmed already. So I'm already feeling like anxious, and then, people just staring at me or crowds all around me. I'm like kind of like freaking out or whatever. And I guess like the thing also with like serving and bartending and stuff, or at least like bartending, you know. So even like when I bartended at the stage or whatever, right? So say I was working on the first floor during the day and I was working by myself, right? Okay, so it's one bartender. I've had times where I rang in like 6, 7 grand by myself. The whole first floor filled with people. It's 1,000 people to one. Okay, so now they're all just staring at you, waiting on you, you know, and social anxiety, like embarrassment, humiliation. It's like getting your butt kicked, bartending, snapping off beer tops, getting your butt kicked, running back and forth, and everybody's like watching you drown. It's like, even if you're doing great, you know, you just want to be able to handle everything. And, you know, I'm kind of like that, just like perfectionist, like you want to handle everything, you know, but it's 1 to 1,000. You know, it's so much you can freaking do. You know what I mean? But that social anxiety thing, just that feeling of like humiliation and embarrassment. Another thing that I think triggered my social anxiety was, I don't know, just me being so awake. Me being so aware of how judgmental people can be. And for example, you know, I remember the first time someone called me a nigger, right? I was bartending at Hooters and I handled it like with class and grace, and you know, it's a long story or whatever, but I remember this man calling me a nigger, and that affected me in some kind of ways when I think about it further along. I remember another time where I was, okay, so, you know, normally like when you serve, you have like a section. So I'm in my section, I'm serving another table, and then I get sat across from me, got sat with like 3 or 4 guys, right? They were all white men and bald, right? And I remember me talking to the one table. I was like, you know, I'll be back, you know. And then I went to go greet the other table. And it was like once they noticed they had a black bartender, they wanted to move from my section. And my other table even made a comment about it, just how they looked too, like bald and white and or whatever. So they look like the stereotype of whatever they're called, like Confederate people, like whatever. I don't know, or whatever. But anyway, they went and sat at a table, a girl that was white with blonde hair. So in Nashville is when I started experiencing like racism, you know. So just being so aware, being so awake, knowing what white people thought about black people. So me knowing that I'm serving like a table of white people, and me just having that in my mind, knowing what they thought about me. You know, I'm from Miami, Florida. And I'm from the hood of Miami, Florida. So I guess I wasn't around so many, I guess, like white people, but I was exposed to so many different cultures, from Spanish to Cuban to Haitian. I was used to being around a lot of different, you know, cultures, but I didn't really experience, you know, like really like racism when I was in Miami. Another time I was serving at Hooters, and I remember having a party of like these young white boys, right? And I like stuttered, and one of the boys like mocked me. And again, social anxiety, just feeling that like humiliation, embarrassment, you know. I can remember a Hooters girl, a black Hooters girl named Kristen, right? I remember her talking to me one day, and she's like, girl, white men, they've been in love with us since slavery days. And then just like walked off. And in some weird way, I never thought about the race thing ever again after that. And that's kind of weird, you know, and for a black person to say that and talking about slavery, it's weird. It's weird, but I never thought about that ever again. I know that everybody is not racist, okay? But I'm just telling y'all, you know, what was just going through my head. You know, in the back of my mind, I'm like serving people after those things happened to me. And it was in the back of my mind that some are racist and some aren't. And it wasn't that I didn't know my history, but it's one thing to learn about it and then another to experience it firsthand, you know, and like thousands of years later. You know what I mean? Like, what year is this? You know? Being so aware, just being so knowledgeable, you know, also, you know, kind of triggered, you know, social anxiety in me. What else? Even I was at the airport. Like, I went to Miami. I was at the airport, and on my way there, I didn't feel any forms of anxiety. But on my way back, I guess just being around the crowds of people, I found myself, you know, feeling anxiety. You know, I was just at one of my girlfriend's birthday parties. My roommate, I was just at her birthday party, and I felt myself kind of having some anxiety, you know, when people started coming. Sometimes with social anxiety, it can make you fearful of even meeting new people. Just knowing that some people can be mean, some people can be judgmental. You've experienced people being judgmental and criticizing you, not being nice, humiliating you, scrutinizing you, and you kind of just fear it happening again, you know. So yeah, so I've experienced that. You know, I felt myself having a little bit of anxiety, but you know, it was fine. I just went out and I'm like, hi, you know, I'm Ty. And a smile, I think, you know, it works so much. Just like positive thinking as well helps as far as like social anxiety. It can make you even like self-conscious, you know, even like just eating in front of people or drinking in front of people. I can remember being at this Christmas party and I just like dropped something and it made me just like, it's like you don't want to make mistakes, you know, you don't want to do something where people can judge you, you know what I mean? You know, I can remember being at this other party that I went to, and I don't know, just like the littlest things can make you just self-conscious about like anything, just making your plate, you know, it's crazy. Some tips that I would say as far as social anxiety is positive thinking. Any negative thought, I want you to change that thought. Anytime I have any negative thought, I will like immediately replace it with 3 positive thoughts. I want you to think of the best outcomes. Not everybody is mean. Not everybody is not nice. There are like good people in this world, you know, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how people treated you. Whatever that traumatizing experience was, I'm so sorry. And I can relate. I know how you feel. So I can relate to you and I'm empathetic towards it, but I just want you to know that everybody is not like that. There are some awesome people in the world, and you know, after I even left that birthday party, one of the people that I met, you know, she was just so nice, had just such a great personality, you know what I mean? So you avoiding social interactions could make you miss out on like just awesome experiences, awesome people. You know, there are beautiful people in this world, you know. So I would just say that just changing your minds, you know. And 2, I would say you got to get to a point where you release. I need you to release all of those fears that have been placed upon you. You have got to let it go and just release. You know, I remember being in beauty school, and if I'm not mistaken, his name is Sam Burns. If I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm accurate. Y'all make sure y'all follow him on the gram. If I am right, I don't even know. But I remember him telling us this story. Basically, you, or whatever, I may be saying the remix, but basically say it's a balloon, right? Get this balloon, right? And I want you to get a sheet of paper and write down your fears on them. You know, write down things that you just need to release in general, right? And put it inside the balloon. I want you to blow it up, and then I want you to go outside it and release it. Let that balloon go. Don't let one or a few, I had a lot of embarrassing and humiliating moments, you know, I had a lot of them. And you gotta let it go. You gotta release those things, and you just gotta take your power back. You gotta get to a point where, like I said in my last video, where You just love you. You love you. You accept you for who you are, and forget, you know what? Who doesn't? Forget them. They don't matter. All you want is people. You don't have to be, everybody don't gotta like me. I don't have to be liked by everyone. Not everybody got great taste. I don't have to be accepted by everyone. I'm okay with being this, being the person who I am. I can be weird in some ways, and you know what? I love my weirdness. I love everything about myself, So you just gotta take your power back, and work on your self-confidence and rebuilding yourself. Like I said, I have been stripped from so many things. Take your confidence back, and just, loving yourself. And as long as you're just being true to you, nothing else matters. As long as I'm being true to me, nothing else matters. Another tip I would say is just like preparation. Just like I said, as far as like performance anxiety too, preparation. Some people have like high social anxiety, where just coming in, that's starting that social conversation, that social interaction, you may need like a few go-to topics. Have a few like go-to topics that you just, go to. One thing that I say normally, like when I meet people, I'm like, what's your sign? That's like a go-to topic for me, something that I just do just naturally or whatever. I'm just like kind of interested in astrology. So I'm like, what's your sign? That's like an icebreaker, finding like icebreakers, and of course, just like spiritual things, spiritual things in therapy. I say that in every single video that I have done so far. Spiritual things, that's top of the list. Therapy, that's top of the list. Somebody very just dear to me, who had a big impact in my life or whatever, he would always tell me that God didn't give you the spirit of fear. He gave you the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Fear, none of that stuff is of God. I remember one time being in therapy, and my therapist said, who are you? Who are you? If I was to ask you, who are you? Not what you do, not what are you interested in? Who are you? I'm a child of God. That's who I am. I'm a child of God, and so there's nothing that I should fear. And I know it comes down to science. These things happen to you, and it's a mental thing. It's a mental issue that it's hard to even control it. You're a human being. It's the side effect when someone does something to you. You know what I mean? This is something that you have to live with based off of things that people did to you. You know what I mean? So I get it. But just work on spirituality. That helped me so much. Just the more deeper I got into spirituality, just the more confident I became. And I noticed that on my spiritual journey. That's one thing I can say. And just therapy, go talk to someone. As soon as you even start feeling any kind of issues with anxiety, go talk to someone. Music helps me so much with anxiety. You know what I mean? So say I'm gonna, go out with people or something, maybe go somewhere where there's music involved. That always helps me. Music. One thing my big sister told me, it was the realest thing. What someone else thinks about you ain't none of your damn business. It's none of my business what you think about me. I was a TV major. I'm signed to an agency. I've done a lot of things in the TV industry so far, and I'm looking forward to what God does next. I want to be a powerful, dominant, force in the TV industry. And I know my day will come, but I can remember me finding out that I was having all these mental things going on with me and freaking out, right? And I remember like researching and trying to find out other people in the TV industry that experienced the same things that I was experiencing. Like, is it even possible? And then I'm finding out about, about like Demi Lovato and Ariana Grande and Summer Walker and, Andre 3000 and even the amazing Taraji Henson, who all experience anxiety and are thriving, powerful people in their fields, in the TV industry, music industry, whatever, but doing what they love and still accomplishing their dreams and goals despite the odds against them. You know, so it did. It gave me hope at a time where I was like freaking out when I was finding out the things that was going on with me. You know, just showed me that no matter what odds are against you, there's nothing that you can't do. And there's God in heaven, so it's nothing that I can't do. Period. Don't let fear hold you back. Feel that fear and do it anyway. And just keep doing the work. And the more you do the work, you'll be prepared and you'll get better at dealing with what you're going through. And that's all for today's show, y'all. I hope y'all have the best Christmas ever. Real, raw, and uncut. I'm TyTeav Nelson, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'll see you next week.